Hi everyone, so I am going to be doing all the hardscaping for my tank today. So that means I'll be setting up the soil and the rocks, and I kind of want to just show you what things I am using in the tank. So let me flip this camera. All right, so I have this Controsoil. This is what I used for the plants. It has a bunch of nutrients in it and they'll grow in it. It's really high quality. It doesn't disintegrate in the aquarium. Over here, you'll see when I open it, it is some rock, just some small rock. It's porous, which means the water is going to be able to move through it. This is the first time I am trying using this. I saw a YouTube video where the guy put that to build up height in his tank. And a lot of times when you are in the back of your tanks, there's some areas that you can't reach and then you'll get a buildup of bacteria. So I'm curious to try this out and see how it keeps my tank healthy and if it works or not. So we'll experiment with it. And then I have some high quality and it's medium grained sand. I'm going to be using this in the front of my tank, so it looks really nice. I'm excited to try this out. In past tanks where I didn't have my algae under control, and eventually my sand kind of went green colored. You can just replace it, siphon the sand out and put in new sand. But now that I've learned so much more with my fish tanks, I am curious to see how that sand goes. It might be one reason why I will eventually get a CO2 injector in this tank. At this time, I'm not planning that. I'm going to do more of a low tank because I kind of ran out of funds for now, but that's okay. We can always upgrade it later. And then let me show you, there's some of the rock right there. I'll show you the rest of my rock over here. I have rinsed it before I put it into the tank. That way it gets off all the gunk. So this is all ready to go and be put in the tank. So that is the start. I'm gonna get right to it. I also wanna go over some of the supplies I'll be using in my tank. Over here we have the filter I'll be using. It's the Quiet Flow 30. I've used a smaller type of these filters before. It works pretty well. The reason why I switched from them in my other tanks is they do have some noise involved. But as this tank is at my work and there's going to be a lot of noise anyways, I felt safe to use this brand again. You can find it at Petco, PetSmart. The intake filter I discovered has slots on it. I had a guppy get stuck in it once. So going forward, what I use is these are little foam containers, and you can put them over the intake area. So that way shrimp and little fish will not get caught in the intake. They're pretty easy to clean. I usually just take them off when I'm doing my maintenance, and I just pick off any algae or gunk that's over them and rinse them in some water. This is a filter cartridge. You should be changing your filter cartridge, I would say, every month or so. I sometimes will just rinse it, but it is good to change it. It gets out all of the bad stuff that gets caught in the filter. And then depending on what fish you get, I do recommend a heater. Betas, guppies, those type of things need a heater. So I'm not sure what fish I'm going to stock yet, but I got one just in case, especially for tropical species. And then this is my light. It's a new brand I am trying out. I'm pretty excited to try it. It actually has settings on it to like mimic weather and things like that, which will be kind of fun to try out. We'll see how it goes. And then this is the hood to my tank. Living in Colorado, we do get a lot of evaporation because it is so dry. So I like to have a hood just to maintain the water level. Depending on your tanks, it's not necessarily needed. If you do have some fish that will jump, definitely get one. I just do it to retain that water level. So those are the supplies. And now we'll be setting up the tank. right, so it is a work in progress. I've been rotating these guys around. I really like how this side looks over here, so I'm gonna stick with it. And what I did is I have some filter fiber that I put at the bottom to keep that red rock out of there as much as possible. I should have done this first before adding the red rock, but hey, you know, we adapt. So I'm going to hit this side and kind of arrange it to how I like. And then we can start adding all the other soil. All right, so here is my tank. After I set up all the rocks, it's not quite what I was thinking I was going to do. I was going to do 2 islands, but the rocks just weren't working out. And if something you're fighting with it, just try something else. So we went with this design. It was another one I was considering. This front part I'm going to clean up because I have a lot of that red porous rock in the front, so I'm going to get that cleaned up. You can see I've put some filter fiber in between the crevices of the rock. That's to make the back substrate stay in the back. And then back here, I have a line where I'm gonna put all of my stem plants and grow them back here with my aquarium soil. And it'll be really pretty and sandy in the front is kind of my goal. So here is the rock all set up. It took me a while to play with that rock to where I like it. All right, so I'm looking at my tank here, and I am considering that the height of the rocks isn't quite as high as I wanted and as dramatic. So I'm thinking I need to get something to draw your eye in the back and draw it upwards, because it's not quite rule of thirds. I feel like it might be a little bit empty once I get the rest of the soil and the plants in there and such. I think I'm gonna want some more height. So I'm debating moving everything again. So I do feel like this is part of the process. And the other option, so I could get some more, maybe some logs or something for the back, which I would have to do this weekend. Or I could get some styrofoam to set all the rocks on, and that will get me another like 2 inches of height, which I think would make quite a bit of difference. So I really do. I think it would make a difference to get it up more. So I might go to Home Depot and get some foam board or something along that lines. Or I might decide that I like it just as is and leave it. So there you go.